Hi, in this video I'd like to explain why am I so passionate, I'm so in love with mental models, what they mean, and why am I using them all over the membership website. Mental model is a concept that I heard for the first time at the Harvard Business Club. The gentleman, whose name is Charles Duhigg, who is a Pulitzer Prize winner and a New York Times bestseller, from two of his fabulous books, he was giving a presentation for his second book called Smarter, Faster, Better. In here, he talks about the difference between average performers and superstars. What makes superstars superstars? What helps them achieve better grades? What makes them earn more money per year, on average about $10,000. And social scientists have been looking to answer that question for generations. And the answer turns out to be quite simple. Superstars are very focused on their tasks, and they work on about 5 projects at a time, and they also create robust mental models. By the way, you and I can easily get in the habit of creating those robust mental models and can get as successful as those superstars are. Personally, I use the concept of mental models all the time. So what are mental models, and how does Charles Duhigg explain it in his book? He gives an example of a pilot who would always quiz his co-pilots before getting on the flight. He would ask them something like this: what do you do when a left engine goes off? What is the first thing you do? What is the screen you're looking at? Where are your hands? Where are you looking? What are you doing in case of an emergency? It turns out that when emergency happens on the plane, about 250,000 different sensory receptors go wrong, and they all start giving the pilots and co-pilots contradictory messages. First of all, there's something wrong with the plane. This is an emergency. You're scared for your life, and you're also responsible for lives of approximately 140 other passengers. That is already a very stressful situation. You can count on your amygdala for sending a lot of cortisol into your prefrontal cortex and turning off your thinking completely. You can't think rationally at this point unless you have a clear mental model of what should be happening and what you should be doing. You can't really act rationally at this point. And that has everything to do with reading and learning. What I like to do is I like to create mental models for kids, especially when they're reading a longer book, when they're reading a shorter book, when they're reading a fiction novel. Maybe it's a passage, maybe it's an article in New York Times, maybe it's an article in the Wall Street Journal. What is it that they do before, during, and after the reading is complete? Let's say you're watching a video course. Are you watching it for 20 minutes? Are you watching it with your Gmail and your Facebook open? Or are you watching it for 5 minutes and go ahead and do something else? What is it that you do? What are your mental models that you do when you're writing an essay? What do you do before, during, and after? Are you procrastinating and you're just doing everything in the last minute? What is it that you do which becomes your knee-jerk reaction? And when you don't do that, it becomes apparent to you that your attention has deviated. And all those blinking lights that are going on the airplane in case of an emergency, those blinking lights, we're surrounded with them. There are people walking past me. There's a phone, and I'm very aware of it. It's right here. There could be a text message that comes. There's a push notification from all sorts of apps that I'm using. There's a lot of email. There's my assistant that's coming in at 11. There are all of these other inputs that are distracting my concentration. So that's why I created a little flow where you set a goal for yourself. You call it my goal, and then you write it up. It takes about 45 seconds to write a goal in terms of a SMART goal: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. And then you begin building your mental model. You envision how you're going to achieve that goal. What is the first thing you will do? What are some of the distractions you will encounter? How will you tackle those distractions? How do you know that you succeeded? What does it take to succeed? What is it that you will do next? Once you answer those questions, it becomes increasingly easier to act. So you'll see those mental models, and by the way, I'm attaching this worksheet to the video and hope you enjoy.